Yo, what's cracking, everybody, and welcome to the jungle. We got fun and games. We got everything you want. Baby, we know the names. We are the people that can find the bets that you may need. If you got the money, honey, we got your disease in the jungle. Welcome to the jungle. Good Thursday, everybody. We have a big game tonight in the National Football League. It's the battle of to be the king of the North, NFC North. Lions and Packers. We're going to take a deep dive into this game, talk about a bunch of bets, prop bets, what side I'm on, where I'm leaning, all that good stuff, as well as every game in the association today. We're going to go over three best bets for every one of those games. I believe there's nine games today in the association. A lot of plays that I love. Let's recap yesterday. We had a profitable day. So when I recap these days, I recap what I did here on YouTube every day, the public bets, and also what I sent out to Jungle members. So overall, we were profitable. We were 6-5. We went 0-1 in college basketball. We had Memphis minus 10.5. They ended up winning by 10. So they got us on the hook. They're up big. Just couldn't close it out for us. That's okay. So, and we were 6-4 in the NBA, up 0.7 units. Let's get right into the big game between the Packers and the Lions. Now, if you watched my YouTube video earlier today, you know which way I'm leaning on a bunch of things, what I've taken so far. The Lions have 3 defensive linemen injured in their first unit and 4 if you count second units. Now, DJ Reader is going to be a big miss for them today, and that's going to enable Josh Jacobs to run the ball even more than he ordinarily does. Josh Jacobs is 3rd in the NFL in rushing attempts. And you might ordinarily look at that and think that means that, well, if the Lions are going to be hurting on defense, then the score is going to go over. But that's not the case here because both teams love to pound the rock. They're 3rd and 5th in the NFL in rushing attempts. That means to me that the clock is going to tick, tick, tick. So when you're looking at here, the overs and under, there's a key number in NFL betting, and that's 51. And depending on whether you like the over or under, you want to be on that good side of the hook. Okay. So in other words, if you like, if you like the over, you don't want to be at 51 and a half. You want to be at 51 or you want to be at 50 and a half because that so frequently ends with the 27 to 24s, those kind of games. 7 and 4s are key numbers in the NFL. So if you like the under, you do want to be on the 51 and a half. So again, that key number of 51, if you like the under, you want to be on the hook at 51 and a half. If you like the over, you want to avoid it. So you want to grab a 51 or 50 and a half. But breaking down this game, that's what I'm looking at. I'm looking at both teams running the ball excessively. Of course, the two-headed monster of Jahmyr Gibbs and David Montgomery is the best that the league has seen in a long time. Josh Jacobs had a limited practice Monday. He'll be good to go. He's not even listed on the injury report. One of the leading rushers in the league. They're going to want to lean on him. Jordan Love does a good job of spreading the ball around a lot too. So props for the Packers receivers are always tough to come by, tough to predict. You never want to take those really. There is a prop I like on the Lions receiving side of things. And Amon St. Brown's Lions juice to the max. And by the way, these are 2 teams that defend the pass very well. And there are 2 teams that limit the big play. But Jameson Williams, 30-year player, first-round pick, his over 48 and a half receiving yards I like today. It's minus 113 right now on FanDuel. He's 2nd in the Lions in targets. And although Jair Alexander's out again, the Packers play very good pass defense. They're up there in the league in takeovers and interceptions. He's over this in 5 of his last 7 games, Jameson Williams, averaging 12.8 yards per reception. I think that, Laporte is not going to get the yards and catches that he ordinarily does. He hasn't been the same since he's come back from being injured. And I think Amon St. Brown, they're going to do whatever they can. You won't be able to stop him. But I think they'll do whatever they can to shade coverage over his side, double him up. So I really like Jameson Williams. He's been playing with confidence. I like him a lot, over 48 and a half receiving yards. That's my only prop for this game. I did look at Josh Jacobs' rush attempts. I like the rushing attempts more often than I do rushing yards because it's more predictable as to what a team's game plan is going to be as to whether a back's going to get through the defensive line or not. But his his rushing attempts is the line's 18 and a half. I'm sorry, 17 and a half. And that's too heavy for me. It's a little bit too heavy for me. If I'm taking 17 and a half on a rushing attempt total, it better be plus 120, and it's not. It's about minus 105 or minus 110. So I passed on that. Jahmyr Gibbs and David Montgomery normally go under their lines for carries because they both, they carry the ball 25 times a game, at least between the two of them. And it started out this season where Montgomery's carries were higher. But as the season's gone on, Jahmyr Gibbs gets more carries now. And you want to stay away. They actually hit the under hits in those more than the over hits because they spread it out. And depending on the drive, they take turns with the drive. Depending on that, you never know who's going to get, the more carries. So stay away from those. If I took a Lions, everyone's going to be in the Lions running back props because they're just so popular. But if I were to take a rushing prop, I would take Jahmyr Gibbs over rushing yards. I believe it's set at 70 and a half right now on most books. But my only prop I'm taking. What's up, Danny? How you doing, brother? Or Danny, what's up, brother? Danny, what's up, man? The only prop I have is Jameson Williams over 48 and a half receiving yards. Now, I think this is going to be, I'm not going to use the term low scoring game, but a lower scoring game than people think. And 70% of people, here we go again, are on the over because they look and they see two offenses that are top of the charts and pretty much everything there is, but the defenses get paid too. I always say the defenses get paid too. And here's a couple reasons why. Here's some statistics as to why I think this is going to be a lower scoring game. First of all, it's a divisional game, a big divisional King of the North game. And these teams, they've already played once, low scoring game. You get to know each other. You get to know one another. It's more of a chess match at this point than anything. And I think that that's going to slow things down a little bit. And I think that even the crazy gambler Dan Campbell will want to avoid mistakes as best as he can. So if we look at this and reasons why I think this is going under, again, the line is set. I think a more appropriate line would be 49 and a half, but it's 51 and a half. These two teams combined, and I talked about earlier in my video, my video I put out, I talked about how unders tend to hit more later on in the season. And combined in their last 10 games, the under and under 51 and a half, as it is in this game, has hit in a combined 8 of the last 10 games. And that's when you think about that, you wouldn't really think that. You think Jordan Love and you think Jared Goff and those dynamic running backs with the Lions and Josh Jacobs. You would think the over hits all the time. But 80% of their last 10 games combined have been under the total that was designated for that game and under this total of 51 and a half. These two teams both run the ball a ton. I talked about third and fifth most in the NFL. That should keep the clock running for us today. They throw the ball third and fifth least of anyone in the NFL. And if you look, they're up there in passing yards in terms of the most passing yards in the NFL, and it doesn't make sense when you look at it. But it does when you look at the average yards per play. They rely on the big play. They've had a bunch of home run hits, and that really increases the yardage, of course. I don't need to tell you that. But my point is that both these teams, neither one throws a ton. They both rely on the big play for those big point games. But the defenses, both these defenses, remember the defense gets paid too. Both of these defenses are top 10 in limiting plays over 20 yards and top 7 limiting plays over 15 yards. So I think that the big plays, the home runs, are not going to be as easy to come by. Another reason that the over is worth taking a look at here. The Packers, like I mentioned, are going to run the ball a ton, taking advantage of the Lions' injuries on the defensive line. That's going to keep the clock running for us. That's going to keep the score down too. I think we're looking at a low scoring game here, guys. So there's two unders that I like, two unders, and please pop in with your questions or any bets that you want me to take a look at or give you my opinion about as I'm finishing up the NFL here, you can let me know in the comments. I can see them right here. But Jared Goff under 255.5 passing yards, I like a lot. I got it for minus 120 on Fanatics. I think the line is playable down to 250.5. I think the number is playable to minus 125, 130. I like to live in the minus 130 to minus or to plus 130 range. I like to live in there and not parlay, take single bets. And every bet I make is either to win a unit or to wager a unit. So that's my philosophy. I like Goff under 255.5 passing yards, and I'm all over the under 51.5 for the total. Do you guys have any comments or anything you want me to take a look at in the NFL before we move on to the association? Branson, what's up, brother? He likes Devin Booker over 29.5 today. 25 last matchup against them, and no KD. Yeah, no KD does well for him ordinarily because they operate the offense, Branson, a lot differently. So I think that's a good point. We'll get to that game in a little bit, and I'll tell you where I'm going on in that game. I'll tell you what I like in the Pelicans and the Suns. I have some Pelicans plays that I actually like in that game too. Let's go on to the association. Kraft under. Sharon Stokes likes Kraft under 34.5 receiving yards. That's a pretty good bet, Sharon. That line, they're missing ends alone today. The Lions are, so that's gonna affect their tight end defense a little bit. But I do like that play, Sharon. That's a pretty sophisticated play. I like that. That's a sharp play right there. If you guys are listening. For opinions, I like what Sharon's on with Kraft under 34.5 receiving yards. I think Kraft is more likely to get a touchdown than he is to be over that line. The National Basketball Association. Nuggets and Cavs is our first game. Here are some things I like and some things that have been hitting. Sharon likes Jared Allen over 13.5 points. Joker under. And Portal under. So here's what I like. I like Michael Porter Jr. over 15.5 points today. He's over this in 4 straight. The Nuggets are heating up, and they're finally getting healthy. Aaron Gordon, he's a game-time decision. He's listed as, but he's going to play. He played last game. And when they're healthy, with Christian Brown, who's been playing very consistently, added in there with Joker, Jamal, Porter, Brown, and Aaron Gordon in the starting 5, that's a team that you don't want to sleep on. They looked a little bit tired in the beginning of the season, but the healthier they get, the more they get into a groove, they're a tough team to sleep on. Now, I also like Donovan Mitchell under 26.5 points. Why do I like that? You're getting a lot of EV there. I got it from minus 115 on DraftKings, and it's minus 140 on Pinnacle. So Pinnacle, the sharpest sports book that there is all over Mitchell. Branson likes MPJ in that game too. Yeah, Michael Porter Jr. over 15.5 points all day. His rebounds looks good too to me. Branson over 15.5. I'm sorry, over 5.5, but it's a little too juice for me. But I do like Donovan Mitchell under 26.5 points. And let me know if you're with me in the comments. Nuggets money line plus 154 on FanDuel. I got it. Plus 154. The Cavaliers are a very good team. I wouldn't yet say a great team. That record has to come down a little bit. The Raptors clipped them the other day. Yeah, he took the points and rebounds combo for Branson. Cool. That's a good move, Branson. But Nuggets plus 154 on the money line. You got to take it. You got to take it, guys. We're flipping a coin, okay? And I think it's a coin flip game. And if it lands on the Cavs, we pay them 100. If it lands on the Nuggets, they pay us 150. I take it all day. Hop on it with me. Buy the ticket. Take the ride. Nuggets on the money line. Mavericks versus the Wizards. Here are some things that have been happening. Here are some things that have been trending and some things that I like. My guy, Bilal Coulibaly, is one of my favorite players in the association. But you know who my favorite player is? The one that makes me the most money. He's been under 11.5 points in 8 of his last 10 games. He's ice cold, but he's playing good defense. That's why he's getting the minutes. Derek Lively has been under 9.5 rebounds in 8 of his last 10 games. And Bub Carrington has been under 17.5 points, rebounds, and assists, PRA, in 4 of his last 5 games. Man, the Wizards are really struggling. They're a young team. I like them a lot. I like Alex Sarr along with those guys I just mentioned. They're struggling, man. So that's what we're looking at there. I would stay away from the Mavs props today. Luka will be playing, I think, for the most part. Don't know how much if this game's a blowout. Kyrie Irving's been over his assists in 9 of his last 10. But with Luka in there, that changes a little bit. Klay Thompson's back. I might look at his 3-pointers, but for the most part, I'd stay away. I would go under on Lively rebounds, and I go under on my Wizards props. Spurs and the Bulls. Interesting game. Bulls give up more points than anybody in the goddamn free world. Chris Paul, here's some things that have been happening. Chris Paul has been under 25. Oh, by the way, no Victor Wembanyama tonight. Chris Paul's been under 25.5 points, rebounds, and assists in 8 of his last 10. Josh Giddey has been under 21.5 points and assists, and his girlfriend's age, in 8 of his last 10. Let's see here. Branson likes Balil Koulibaly, 10-plus points, and Luka. If they'll take the okay, Branson, I don't mind 10-plus. But my favorite bet, and one of my favorite bets, I think, today, and I made a lot of money on this player last season. Can you guess in the comments who it's going to be in the Spurs-Bulls game? He's a guy that people don't often back. What I think about Champagny tonight. What's his line? 12.5? Branson, is Champagny's line 12.5 for points, I believe? My favorite bet in this game, not Devin Vassell, sharing good guess though. Jeremy Sochan. I like Jeremy Sochan over 18.5 points plus rebounds, over 75% this season. That's a very good guess on Zach Collins, especially with Victor Wembanyama out. But I just don't trust Collins. He hasn't been hot enough shooting the ball in the minutes that he's getting. So I'm off Collins until he gets healthier, gets his feet underneath him, and gets the minutes that he's looking for. So the Sochan line, Jeremy Sochan, I got for over 18.5 points and rebounds. He's over the 75% of this the year. Now you can take his points, rebounds, and assists. Sometimes a lot of people like to take that, but it's not worth it to me because that line is 21.5. And he's more likely to get 2 assists or 1 assist than he is 4 or 5 assists. So in that case, the assist line is going to hurt you, not help you. I'd rather rely on the points plus rebounds. Of all the lines, that's what hits the most for Sochan. Jeremy Sochan over 18.5 points plus rebounds. That's my favorite bet of the day. Grizzlies and the Kings. Ja Morant's been on fire, hasn't he? His assists have been hard to bet on because he's getting 14 and then he's getting 4. Depending on what they need him to do when they fall behind, he tends to be shooting more. Earlier on in the game, he tends to be distributing more. His points line is at 21.5. There's some pretty good EV on it. I'm staying away. Here are some things that I like, some things that have been hitting, though. Jaren Jackson has been over 2.5 blocks and steals in 9 out of his last 10 games, and you can get a good price on that. Triple J. Jalen Wells, I like a lot, man. I like him a lot. He's out of the starting lineup for the most part with Ja back and Desmond Bane starting to heat up, but I do like his points and assists. He's been over this in 8 of his last 10. My favorite bet in this game, though, he's red hot. He hasn't been on the glass as much. His rebound production has been down, but Domantas Sabonis points have been up. His best play today, Jungle Nation. Domantas Sabonis over 24.5 points and assists. Crushed this in 4 of his last 5. He's been over 30 in 3 of his last 5. He's sitting at 24.5 in a game that probably isn't going to be a blowout. I like Sabonis over 24.5 points and assists. Previous matchup with Sabonis against them, and look at the real. No, I know, and I understand that, but here's the thing with Sabonis playing against the Grizzlies, Branson, is that Jaren Jackson Jr. is a foul machine, and I think that Sabonis will get to the line a lot more than he ordinarily does, and he gets there quite often. Jaren Jackson gets pretty gets pretty foul happy against good opposing centers. So that's one of the reasons that I do like it is although he hasn't had the best success, Junior's going to follow him a lot today. But I love that play with Sabonis. Now we have the Warriors and the Houston Rockets. Houston Rockets, my pick to be in the Western Conference Finals. They're awesome this season. Here are some things that have been trending. One of my favorite plays in this game is Jonathan Kuminga under 26.5 PRA points, rebounds, and assists. He's been under this in 18 of his last 20 games. Jonathan Kuminga under 26.5 PRA. He's also been under his line of 2.5 assists in 9 of his last 10 games. So add those in when you bet the under because it's going to add 3 to it. You want those in there when it comes to the under. Thoughts on Jabari Smith over to 13.5 points. Jabari Smith is a little unpredictable to me, Branson. I would stay away from him until he has more consistency throughout the year. All right, so we are on the Grizzlies Kings. Oh no, Warriors Rockets. Dylan Brooks has been under 0.5 steals, and he's been under 0.5 felonies too. It's good for him. And 7 of his last 10 games, he's not stealing the ball, but he's staying out of trouble with the law. Dylan Brooks under 0.5 steals, 7 of his last 10 games. I like that play. And I love now he has not been over this line as much as he's been under this line this season, but he's over in 3 of his last 5. And the Warriors give up the 3rd most rebounds to anybody in the association, and I don't think he's going to have a ton of competition under the glass. Alperen Sengun over 10.5 rebounds tonight. One of my favorite plays with the Rockets Warriors game. Pelicans and the Suns. And I think it was Branson that likes Booker. Branson, what do you like Booker? You like over points or over PRA tonight? Now, if you haven't been watching this kid, and Daniel Tice is out again tonight for the Pelicans, but if you haven't been watching the Pelicans rookie center, Yves Missi, okay, spelled M-I-S-S-I. If you haven't been watching him, and my boy T-Bone, Tommy, if you're watching, you would love this. You would love this kid. He's an absolute stud. I like him today because of, especially with Daniel Tice out again, but he's over 9.5 points. I like that line. He's over this in 6 straight games. Pinnacle has it listed at minus 165. You can get it for minus 130 on FanDuel. Yves Missi of the Pelicans. Take it. If you're listening, if you're one of my viewers right now, go ahead and take that. I would play it up to minus 135, probably. Brandon Ingram. I love this play too. Brandon Ingram. Over 4.5 assists in 4 of his last 5 games. That's a low line for him, especially. He's got chemistry with Missi, man. I like Ingram a lot, over 4.5 assists. That's one of the plays I sent out to my Jungle members today. By the way, you can become a Jungle member at silverbackjungle.com. Free weekly trial. After that, it's $1 a day. You get my full betting card pinged to your phone every day. I'll make you money, I promise. Let's see what Branson's saying. He goes strictly going on points on him today. It's going to be the book show, chucking up left and right. All right, man, cool. He likes book on the points. I definitely don't hate that. And then we have, let's see here, Devin Booker has been. We're not talking points now. He's been under his. It kind of goes with Brandon saying under his 4.5 rebound line in 8 of his last 10 games if he's playing perimeter. Shooting more threes than he's used to. If he's taking those mid-ranges like he likes to do, he will stay under his rebound line of 4.5 today. Thunder and the Raptors. Now, this is interesting because and this is where the numbers really matter in sports betting, where you really have to do your due diligence and understand how things happen. Because when you think Shai Gilgeous-Alexander, SGA, you think, man, what's his points line? What's his points line going to be? What's his points and assists line going to be? His points hit under in 45% of the time this season. You know what hits the most for him? What prop hits the most for Shai? Rebounds and assists hits the most, and that's largely due to the extreme volume he sees in minutes. So his line, Shai Gilgeous-Alexander's line of over 11.5 rebounds and assists is hitting 5 straight games. I like that bet today. Thunder Raptors. Now we have 2 Raptors props to look at, but keep in mind that the Thunder have the 2nd best defense in the league in terms of points allowed. Scotty Barnes over 1.5 3-pointers in every game since he's been back from injury. RJ Barrett over the Chucker. RJ the Chucker has been over 29.5 points and assists in 7 of his last 9 games. He's getting the minutes and he's active. The question is, can they stay in the game long enough with the Thunder? And can they, play against that tough defense of Lou Dort and the boys? And Shea, can he get up what he normally gets up? Sharon likes Jacob Portal in this game under 14.5 points. I like that too. I like that too, especially with the Thunder defense. My only question is at the center position, will they have enough there under the glass? Rolling the dice, took Dort over points yesterday. All right, last game here, guys. We're looking at the LaMelo Ball-less Hornets against the Knicks. Not a ton I like in this game, but I will give you some things that have been trending. Mikal Bridges has been over 21.5 points, rebounds, and assists in 4 of his last 5. Josh Hart has been under 5.5 assists in 4 of his last 5. And Karl-Anthony Towns, Cat, has been under 39.5 PRA in 4 of his last 5. I personally didn't play any of those, but I want to make sure I cover every game for you guys in the jungle here. So that's what has been trending. That's what I would play if I had to. All right. Any questions, guys, before we hop out today and I get ready for our TikTok live video? Is there any questions? Anything you guys? Great contribution today, by the way, Jungle. Great interaction. I love it. I appreciate it. Please always feel free to interact and let me know. And if you can, share the channel with one person in your life that might enjoy the content that we create here, and let's grow the jungle together. Top 3 NFL leans today. You missed the first part. Branson, I'm looking at the under 51.5. I'm looking at Jameson Williams over 48.5 receiving yards. And I like Jared Goff under 255.5 passing yards. If I had to take a side, I'd be on the good side of the field goal, and I'd take the Packers with the 3.5. I think it's going to be a low-scoring game. All right, guys, anything else before I pop out? I'm on TikTok. Would love to see you over there at 4 o'clock. A little bit of a different show. At the very least, I will see you guys tomorrow with a little more money in your pocket.